So hi everyone, I'm Jordan Thorpe, your Miss University of Florida 2020, and right now I'm actually in the process of launching a video series entitled In All Kinds of Weather, where I interview Gators who are graduated or who are current students and talk about how they're succeeding even in these uncertain times. And I'm so excited to share that the one we're kicking it off with is our very own student body president, Trevor Pope. Fun fact, Trevor and I are both from Gainesville, Florida, and we both went to the same high school. And on the same night I was crowned Miss UF, he actually was elected student body president. So there's all kinds of fun stuff there. And so Trevor, if you want to just give a quick introduction, then I can get into the interview.
Yeah, sure. How's it going, everybody? My name is Trevor Pope, and like Jordan said, I'm the recently elected student body president. So yeah, we went to high school together, and it's a great pleasure to be here and representing students.
Awesome. Okay, so you're in law school, correct?
Yes, yep.
Awesome. Okay, so what made you decide to be a Gator not once, but twice?
Sure, yeah. So I think for me, I mean, as you know, we were both born and raised in Gainesville, and I think for me personally, being a Gator has so much influence on who I am, and really what I'm about. I mean, I grew up going to football and basketball games and really spent a lot of my time around the university, as did my parents and my family. So I always felt like the University of Florida gave so much to me and has shaped who I am as a person. And so I really felt like this was home and a place I wanted to go. So once I got accepted, it was really a no-brainer for me, and it really helped that this is the best school academically in the state of Florida. And I knew I wanted to stay somewhat close to home, so what better place than right here? And then really the same concept with law school. I always felt like, again, the university has given me so much, and it really treated me well during my time in undergrad. And I felt like there was no better place for me to pursue my interests and passions than University of Florida.
Absolutely, I agree with that. The second I was accepted, I was like, okay, and I'm going to UF. Like once it was like that, I
It
definitely.
was an easy choice,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I kind of always knew I wanted to be a Gator. People are always so shocked by that. I'm like, do you think? I mean, it's a great place here. I love it. So,
I
um,
know.
okay. So the next question I have is, how would you say that your time at the University of Florida has impacted the trajectory of your life?
Oh man. I mean, I feel like almost everything I have done has been attributable to the experiences I've had and the people I've met from the university. I mean, as you know, we went to a small school pretty much our whole lives, and like my graduating class was 60 students or something like that. And so to then come and step foot, yeah, and so to then come and step foot here at the University of Florida, where there's 54,000 students, and to just kind of be exposed to all those diverse perspectives and such high achieving and intelligent students really broadened my horizon, and really had my vision expanded. And I think some of those interactions really changed who I am as a person, and had a lot of influence on me, because I was not the type to really be involved or be too community service oriented prior to coming to UF. But once I realized all the opportunity that is out there for students, I decided that it was time to take on involvement with a full head of steam and do what I can to give back to the university. As I said earlier, it really did give a lot to me.
Awesome. So obviously there's like a lot of uncertainty in this time. What is your biggest piece of advice to the Gator Nation in terms of moving forward and continuing to push to succeed, even though we're definitely in a time that none of us could have been prepared for?
Yeah, so you're right. It's challenging times. It's very difficult times. I think a lot of people, a lot of students, especially, are facing some financial difficulties. And I have to emphasize this to our student senate, and I'll say the same thing now. I mean, really, my biggest piece of advice is three things. We should all remain calm. We should all stay safe, and we should all be flexible during this time. And I think each one of those means very different things, but in terms of being calm, I think it's important that we all remember that we should all remain nice and friendly to one another. I notice now more than ever when you go to the grocery store, people are less inclined to say hello or give you a smile as you walk by. I think there's starting to be this growing fear amongst people and amongst one another. And I think remaining calm is going to be incredibly important as we move forward, so we stay connected to one another. And then staying safe. I mean, making sure we're following basic procedures such as wearing masks, getting tested, washing our hands, and things like that. But arguably the most important of the three is being flexible, because nobody knows how long this is going to last. Nobody knows what's really going to happen from now and over the next 2 years or however long it may be. So as long as we're able to remain flexible, stay positive throughout it, I think that we will come out of this hopefully stronger than we got into it with.
I love that. That's great. I think being flexible is a huge thing. I mean, I was expecting to do a whole year of appearances and be all around campus. And so now I'm just thinking of ways, how can I continue to do the impact that I would have been able to had we been able to stay on campus. So I agree. Flexibility is super important. So shifting to your presidency, what legacy personally do you hope to leave on the campus?
Yeah, so when we were running this campaign and trying to convince students why we were the best candidates for them, we ran on a platform that really emphasized three main categories and topics that we ultimately want to do for the student body. So the first is building for the future. The second is making UF accessible and inclusive. And the third is improving the student experience. So really everything that we will do and the legacy that we will leave will hopefully fall into one of those three buckets that we'll be able to say, you know what, we improved student success. We made students more of a competitive job applicant when they were moving on to the real world and preparing for their career. And we also want to improve on opportunity. And I think that goes to the accessibility piece I was talking about, and making sure students feel like when they come to the University of Florida that they can achieve their wildest dreams. And I think that's going to be really important, because as we've seen, especially with a lot of our minority enrollment, we have students that are choosing elsewhere in other schools because they view that there's more opportunity there than the University of Florida. And I think it's important that those talented individuals are staying close to Gainesville and coming to the University of Florida. And then with respect to the last piece of improving on the student experience, we just want to make sure that when students come to the University of Florida, that they're having fun, and that there's plenty of events and things like that that they can attend and learn from, I think, out of the classroom. For example, like our accent shows and bringing thought-provoking speakers throughout the year that they're able to hear from and really have a memorable experience that they can take away.
Absolutely. Accent is a really incredible organization. I've gotten to see some pretty cool people speak at UF that, you just don't even think about things like that when I think you're picking your college. But the fact that UF has things like that is incredible. And accessibility is also super important to me. I minored in disabilities and society. So I think that's another thing also,
Oh, wow.
just working on making sure that the campus itself is accessible to those with disabilities as well. So I love to hear that those are your things. Then I also just have like a fun question. Like, what's your favorite Gator UF memory?
This one's really tough because
There's obviously
so I there's a lot. Yeah. I mean, and also I've been here for 5 years now, and I think it's tough to really boil it down to one memory that's better than the rest. But I think to give you an answer to the question, I think that my favorite memory isn't necessarily a memory, but more of like a time frame is when I served as an orientation leader with the preview staff. I think that for me was such a unique and transformative experience, because I met and guided and mentored thousands of incoming freshmen as an undergrad. And I think that to me, when talking about having your vision expanded and understanding and trying to empathize with unique perspectives, that really provided me with that experience to do so. And I feel like from when I entered the program versus when I left, I was just a completely different person for the better.
I actually remember you were a preview staffer when I was an incoming freshman. You looked like you were having a good time back then. You looked like you
That's right. Yeah, I remember that. Who was your previous
oh,
staffer?
there's a familiar face.
So who was yours?
Kerpa.
Krupa. Yeah. She's awesome. Yeah, and
Yes.
it's cool because you kind of get like assigned a group of students that you're able to kind of have that close interaction with. And it's really crazy now because I think some of my students would be rising seniors. And so to bump into them and they be like, oh my God, you're my staffer. And they still remember that is really impactful and pretty cool experience.
I will never forget my preview. That was awesome. I'm a rising senior this year, so I'm in that same boat. So it's
You
never,
can't forget it. Yeah, exactly.
never forget. And then my last question is, what does in all kinds of weather mean to you, and how does it apply to Gators specifically in this time?
I think that in all kinds of weather, it's tossed around a lot now, and you see it as a lot of slogans and things like that. But the way that I like to think about it is just being overall prideful in the university. And I think that in today's day and age, and especially during post global pandemic, it's easy to kind of point fingers and feel like you're not being represented, or you're not your institution is not working on your behalf. But ever since I've stepped into this role, I have seen administrators, hundreds of administrators every day working their butts off to provide for the student experience and make sure that students are safe financially and all that during these times. So I think the biggest thing is that in all kinds of weather, our students should just make sure that they are prideful in the university and they're never turning their back in any sense.
Absolutely. I really love that. Okay, well, that is all the questions. Those are all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. And I hope you are a little less busy and you can relax a little bit for a while.
Yeah. Well, once this, hopefully this reserve transfer and rent relief will all go smoothly, and then we'll be able to do some really cool things for students.
Absolutely. And hopefully we're all back together again in the fall.
Yeah. All
All right.
right, Jerome, it was great seeing you.
Seeing you as well. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.